Hello, dear children. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Jisha Joe. In this session, we shall discuss about feedback mechanism. We have already seen what are hormones. Hormones are chemical substances which are secreted in trace amounts by the endocrine glands, and these substances are poured directly into the bloodstream and they are transported to different parts of the body through the blood, and their action is on specific target organs. Secretions of the endocrine glands are called hormones, and we have also seen that these hormones are secreted in very minute amounts or small amounts. If there is a slight increase or decrease from the small amount, this can cause various disorders in individuals. We have been discussing about the various disorders in the previous classes. All our endocrine glands are under the control of our brain. The endocrine system, if we take the endocrine system as a whole, it is controlled by this type of mechanism which is called as the feedback mechanism. There are two types of feedback mechanisms, the negative feedback mechanism and the positive feedback mechanism. Before moving on to the two different types of feedback mechanisms, let us understand what is meant by feedback mechanism. In simple words, we can say when the hormonal level increases more, then the information will be given to the brain to decrease the synthesis or the production of that particular hormone. Or that is, when there is an increase in the hormonal level, the information will be given to the brain to decrease its production. In the same way, when there is a decrease in the level of a particular hormone, the information will be sent to the brain to increase the production or secretion of that particular hormone. This is called as feedback mechanism. In simple words, if we say, it is the hormone itself which controls its secretion. The hormone itself is controlling its secretion. That is called feedback mechanism. And as I told you, there are two types of feedback mechanism, the positive feedback mechanism and the negative feedback mechanism. Okay, so in our syllabus, we have the negative feedback mechanism. Most of the endocrine glands are controlled by the negative feedback mechanism. When I take a simple example, you will understand about it more. Suppose if the glucose level in the blood increases above the normal level, what happens? Suddenly the information will be sent to the brain that the glucose level is going high and high. It is dangerous to the body. It has to be brought down. So immediately brain gives the message to the particular gland, that is the pancreas, which secretes the hormone insulin, which checks the rise of sugar level in the blood. We have seen how insulin helps in checking the rise of sugar level in the blood. First way is it helps in the utilization, or it stimulates the utilization of glucose by the body cells, thereby bringing down the glucose level in the blood. The second way in which insulin works is it stimulates the conversion of excess glucose to glycogen in the liver. Okay, so what have you seen? When the glucose level in the blood goes high, suddenly the information will be sent to the brain that it is dangerous, it has to be brought down. So the brain will send the message to the specific gland, which is the pancreas. The pancreas start secreting insulin, and insulin helps to check the rise of sugar level in the blood. Now suppose if the glucose level in the blood goes below the normal level, again the same thing happens. The information will be suddenly sent to the brain. The brain will get the information that the glucose level is going down, it is dangerous for the body. and so the brain will send the message to the pancreas exactly to the alpha cells of the pancreas will get stimulated and it will start secreting glucagon. And what does glucagon do? Glucagon helps in the breakdown of glycogen to glucose, thereby increasing the glucose level in the blood. So this type of feedback mechanism is called negative feedback mechanism. Here on the board you can see a flow chart. This is also an example of negative feedback mechanism, and here the hormone is thyroxine. Okay, so this is an explanation with reference to the thyroxine hormone. What is negative feedback mechanism based on the hormone thyroxine? So here what happens is that the hypothalamus is responsible for the secretion of TRH, which is the thyroid releasing hormone. TRH stands for the thyroid releasing hormone, which is secreted by the hypothalamus. And this TRH hormone released by the hypothalamus stimulates the anterior pituitary. Now the anterior pituitary gets stimulated and it secretes its hormone TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay. Now, when the anterior pituitary secretes the thyroid stimulating hormone, this TSH stimulates the thyroid gland to secrete its specific hormone, the thyroxine. This is how it actually takes place. Okay, the hypothalamus secretes TRH, thyroid releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pituitary to secrete its hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, which in turn stimulates the thyroid gland to secrete its specific hormone, thyroxine. Now, what happens when the level of thyroxine increases above the normal level, or when the level of thyroxine exceeds the normal level? What is happening? So, if the level increases above the normal level, immediately what happens? It inhibits the release of TRH. The thyroxine, if the amount of thyroxine increase or exceeds the normal level, immediately the information will be sent to the brain, to the hypothalamus, to stop the secretion of TRH, which is the thyroid releasing hormone. If only thyroid releasing hormone is stimulated, then the other processes will take place, ultimately resulting in the production or secretion of thyroxine. So when thyroxine level exceeds normal, the information will be sent to the brain, to the hypothalamus, to stop the secretion of thyroid releasing hormone. So anterior pituitary will not get stimulated, it will not release TSH. So what will happen? Thyroid gland will not secrete thyroxine. So the level of thyroxine will decrease. So this is the negative feedback mechanism with reference to the TSH level in the blood. So I hope you all have understood what is negative feedback mechanism. So in our syllabus we just have the negative feedback mechanism, but when we talk about the positive feedback mechanism, a best example of positive feedback mechanism is the uterine contraction during childbirth, which is stimulated by the hormone oxytocin. So once the hormone is released, it stimulates the contraction of the uterus, and the uterine contraction will continue to increase till the child is released from the mother's womb. So that type of mechanism is called positive feedback mechanism. So oxytocin hormone is released, which stimulates the contraction of the uterus during childbirth, and this contraction of the uterus will continue to increase. More and more contractions will take place until the birth of the baby. This type of mechanism is called feedback mechanism is called positive feedback mechanism. But in our syllabus we just have the negative feedback mechanism, and we have it with reference to the TSH level in the blood. So my dear children, hope this session is clear to you. If you have any doubts regarding what we have studied today, please ask your doubts and please give your suggestions in the comment section. Thank you.